Hey team, I am way overdue for Let's Talk Sex Tuesday this week, but better now than ever. Kids are at home with Nona. So I want to talk today about somatic healing and somatic healing in as it relates to our sexuality. You may have heard about this. I may have brought this topic up before. You may have heard me mention it when talking about intentional masturbation or mindful masturbation, or just in describing some of the work that I do and the Tantra work that I do. And I realized I've never actually done a video on it. So let's talk about somatic sexual healing. All right, where to start? Well, what does somatic mean? Somatic just means of the body. And so a healing that is of the body. The basic concept that is at work here is that anytime your body experiences a trauma or a shock to the nervous system, the emotions that you experience in that moment and the hormones like adrenaline and cortisone, as well as the tightness in your muscles that might happen as a reaction to that, all create an imprint in your body. Now, we're used to thinking of the physical contraction. So somebody throws a ball at my face and I'm like, ugh, right? Or a guy hits on me in a way that I don't like and I can literally feel my whole body squeeze in, right? We're used to thinking of that. And we're used to understanding, I think, that, a physical contraction like that that's held a lot of the time is going to create mobility challenges for us. When I'm sitting in stress and tense all day at my desk, my shoulders are stuck in a particular position. I get knots and tightness in my physical body. Where we're not as familiar is the impact on the nervous system, and in particular how emotions move around in this way. So when you get that tightness, etc., all of the hormones that, get flooded when you go into fight, flight, or run, or whatever. My brain's not totally working today. All those hormones can get locked into those muscles. And if there's an overwhelming emotion or mix of emotions that floods into your body, right? Emotions are energy in motion. They can get stuck in that spot as well. We have an energy body that looks just like our nervous system, that looks just like our musculature system. So there's channels through which energy and emotion move through the body, and they can get stuck in different places. So when you experience a trauma, I just mean a shock to your nervous system. We have plenty of them. As women in the world, we experience them all the time as they relate to our sexuality, the way we deliver babies, all the opinions people have on how we should dress and how we should be can all be shocks to the system. And you compound that over a lifetime. Your vagina has muscles just like the rest of your body, and it can retain those emotions just like the rest of your body. You end up with tightness, tenseness, numbness, and irritation. All because there's literally muscles that are tight, just like in your back, hormones that are stuck, and emotions that are blocked and can't move. So these three different layers are what I sort of think of or consider sort of an imprint, right? So that can all happen in the pelvic floor muscles and in the vagina muscles, as well as anywhere in your body. And you can store a shock or an imprint of any kind anywhere in your body. So, your vagina might be tense for lots of different reasons. It might not just be, a sexualized assault or people staring at your tits too long or a negative relationship. Could be all kinds of stuff in there. Definitely I could talk for hours about how birth and labor are totally a process of learning how to release and let go. And I know firsthand, ladies, what it's like to have two tense and tight pelvic floor muscles, even before I had a baby, even before all of that. It's like one of my chief problems, and it's why I become so fascinated with this sexuality piece and how it's so holistic and related to the rest of our bodies. So Somatic healing or somatic release is not about talk therapy and yabbing about a specific trauma or a specific situation, even though that can be very helpful and very useful. It is about bypassing the busy brain and using specific mindfulness techniques, energy techniques, and breath techniques to release and open your muscles, let go of all those hormones that got stuck, and most importantly, feel the emotions and let them go. So where I skipped a step here is that when you go into that fight or flight system, right, if you think back to like, oh, I was a caveman, a lion attacked me, I went into fight or flight, that's part of the loop for the stress response. The other part of the loop is actually releasing those emotions and those hormones. And usually you would run away from the lion, move all those gross motor muscles in your body, and that would help you to move those hormones and those emotions out of your body. Or you would fight the lion, or you would freeze, and then you would like shake it off. You'll see animals do that. So that's the second half. Now, most of us go through the first half, and then it gets stuck, and we don't actually release the second half. So what we need to do is start releasing the second half in order to actually let go of that imprint. So how this shows up in our sexual lives, right, is all this junk in the trunk, basically, is how I like to think of it. You got junk in your trunk, junk in your vagina. And how it shows up is numbness, so lack of sensation during sex. I have so been there so many times. Pain during sex and intercourse. Not just like, oh, he went too deep pain, but like, for example, lately, I don't know why, I've got pain on the right side. Those muscles are tense, they're not behaving properly, and I've got some stuff in there. And it can also show up as irritation. I like to think of this as like if you've ever been fingered by like construction man hands. So that's sort of like burny, irritated feeling. There you go. That's what you're feeling. So if you are experiencing pain, numbness, or irritation, it's likely that you have bumped into an imprint that's stuck somewhere in your vagina, in your tissues. Now, you can go back and forth through this. So you might have periods where there's no pain at all, or where you have increased sensation, and then something shifts in your life, a new experience happens, or older traumas and imprints come up ready to be released. So you'll move through these states of full pleasure and like mobility and functioning of those muscles to pain and tightness, irritation, or numbness. So these are all signs that there's junk. And I tell you, most of us got junk, ladies, which is why most of us are dealing with lackluster sex lives, really. Like there's lots of contributing factors, but this is a really big one. So I just want to pause here for a minute and read some of your comments because I'm loving it. And I want to make sure that if there's any questions, I got them. Awesome. Krista, great. Yes, I hope I'm getting there. Totally. Okay, cool. So what do we do about this? We're experiencing some of these symptoms. We don't know what to do about it. We've got junk in the trunk. We're like, what happens now? So there's two really key steps to initiating this process. There's lots of nuance to it, but if you want to get started, there's two things. One, you need to start a dialogue, a conversation with your vagina. What I mean by this is literally imagining her as a person, that's what helps me anyways, who has lived your life with you, but who has maybe experienced these things in different ways. Because how I think of this is that pain, that numbness, that irritation is your vagina talking to you. She is letting you know with the means that she has to communicate that something is off, something's not right, that she's not getting what she needs, whatever that is. And typically when these symptoms show up, pain, numbness, irritation, instead of going, what was that, vagina? What do you need me to do? We go, fuck you, start cooperating. I've had enough. I just want to have a good time. Piss off. At least I spent pretty much most of my 20s doing that before I realized that that's not really how you collaborate with people, and it's not really how you like get results. So use these symptoms as information, as clues to what your vagina is saying. And if you want to get into like actual dialogue with her, I know it seems silly, I know it seems funny, but honestly, this is an expressive art therapy technique, and it's amazing. I want you to sit down. I want you to write 2 letters. One letter is from you to your vajayjay. The other letter is from your vajayjay to you. Free write, turn off your brain. If you can't think about anything, I want you to just set a timer for like 5-10 minutes. If you write the first thought that enters your mind, it might feel so stupid, so silly, so weird. Don't judge it. Dear vagina, I was super mad at you today. Whatever it is that comes to mind, just let it flow out of you. Don't expect it to be like deep and meaningful or all these things. Don't put pressure on it to be anything. And the more fun and playful you get, the more you invite yourself to actually be imaginative and playful, the more insights you will get out of what you think is silliness and, just being weird. So allow yourself to go to crazy town and be full on weird. Some things that you can think about are like, what do you want to say to your vagina? What does she want to say to you? What does she need? What is she asking for? Are there things that you want to thank her for, or things that she wants to thank you for? Are there things that you feel you need to apologize for or address? Or is she feeling that? Are there regrets? Are there sadnesses? What are some of the highs that you've had together? What are some of the lows that you've had together? Really just start a conversation with her. Now, I do want to note that if you've had some pretty intense trauma, you can think of this in 2 ways. You do not need to go to the deep, dark places if now is not the time. So don't force yourself to revisit memories and spaces and places that aren't going to serve you right now. And also know that, your mind may go there, and maybe that's because something's coming up to be healed and let go, and it needs to be re-examined. So this can be a triggering activity. Do make sure that you have some self-care strategies in place, and do it, when you're in a state where you're able to process and be present to what's happening. This is really the challenge of all this. Like, so many of us have at least one story we can think of. And I know my healing process in using these tools, honestly, one of the biggest things that came out of it was realizing that one of my first sexual experiences was an assault. I never thought of it that way. I basically victim blamed myself for 10 years. It wasn't that bad, blah, 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 blah. But it was totally not consensual. Right? Anyways, story for another time, but really fascinating and interesting to see how just this process alone helped me to come to a totally different place with an experience that I had. And when I was able to accept it for what it was, I was able to actually start releasing it. And I think so many of us have been there right now. Krista, awesome. I'm so glad. So your first activity is getting into the dialogue. Write her a letter, have her write you a letter, write 1,000,000, burn them, throw them in rivers, keep them, share them with me if you want. Whatever is going to serve you, right? Step number 2 in this process is really about taking that dialogue to the next level by actually literally visiting with your vagina. And by that I mean masturbation, ladies. So many of us don't do it, or we don't do it very often. Or when we do it, we do what I call wham bam thank you mamming ourselves, where we just rub one out. We got the little porno reel we run. It's 2 minutes. We have a little orgasm. We go to sleep, right? Totally cool. Nothing wrong with that, especially if it's going to help you sleep. Total fan. Masturbation holds a lot of power as a tool to help us do this somatic release work. So circling back to, we have this junk in the trunk, we have muscles that are tense, we have emotions that are stuck, and we need to move them. The reason masturbation is so powerful is that, one, you're doing actual massage work. So you're using your fingers on your body. So I could do somatic release on my knee, on my shoulders, and it's going to involve actual touch and working on the body. And it's also going to involve, sorry, I just got really distracted by an inappropriate comment, but I saw that it was not for me. So all good. Sorry. Okay. So physical touch, right? Which is going to allow us to release the muscles. And we might use a vibrator or a wand or another toy to actually do release work inside the body, as well as energy work and breath work. And the energy work here is twofold: sexual energy, arousal energy, horniness energy. Like, it is an energy. And if you're not a woo-woo person, that's cool. But like, you can feel when horniness hits you. It's like a wave that works through you. That energy is super effing powerful. It's the creation energy. And you can bet your butt that it is how we move, we bust through those imprints and those emotions that are stuck in different parts of our body or our vagina. So arousal energy is the most powerful energy we have to help us bust through those blocks. And we can also use tantric energy. I did do a video about tantra and how I use it in my practice, so you can check it out, and I'll do another one in the future if people want to learn more. But basically, there's specific meditations that we can do that sort of add a third ingredient. So we've got physical touch, we've got our arousal energy, and we've got that tantric energy all working together to help us push through and close the stress cycle. Okay? We're closing the stress cycle. So there's lots of nuance to this. There's very specific techniques that I teach people to do it. They're, thousands of years old, and very amazing and very powerful. But if you want to get started on this journey, I simply invite you to explore intentional masturbation, or mindful masturbation. And the way to do that is really to make sure that you set a time and place to do it, because we all like to avoid it, including me. Maybe I'll go do some right after this call. It's about setting up a space where you're giving yourself time. It's kind of like self-care, right? You're going to have a bath or do something that makes you feel really good. This is about your time for you. No distractions, no interruptions, your time for you. Set a timer if it helps you, because you don't want to get lost sometimes in La La Land or get stuck with it. So just give yourself a time frame for how long it's going to happen. Like with any meditation, 5 to 10 minutes is a great place to start. And if you're feeling ambitious, 20 is really awesome. And all I want you to do is, instead of really focusing on having an orgasm, instead of focusing on the pleasure and how good everything feels, and instead of running a little porno reel to get yourself activated, I just want you to do 3 things to start. First, just really focus on the sensation of your fingers on your body. That's it. The sensation of your fingers on your body. 2, notice, your response to pleasure. Do you tense? Does it feel weird? Does it create some weird emotional reaction in your body? Or are you super into it? We all have different reactions. We all have different reactions on different days. What is my reaction to pleasure? Step 3 is to use this as an opportunity to take that dialogue you started with your vagina in the letter writing process and activate it once again. Actually talk to your vagina while you are masturbating. You can do this in your mind. I find it 10 times more powerful if I speak it out loud. It's really simple and powerful before you get started to just say, hey, vagina, what do you need today? How can I give you pleasure today? Vagina, vulva, body, knee, right? Those 3 things are very simple, but very powerful when done effectively. And they're not the whole shebang. There's tons to this, but they are what will get you started down this journey. When you're talking to your vagina, just listen. And in particular, listen for that quiet little whisper. So it's not those brain gremlins that are telling you how chubby you are or how uncomfortable you feel. It's those tiny little whispers that are like, I just need more time. Please slow down. Or, ooh, move to the left, please, right? And the more we get attuned to listening to those pieces, the more our vagina trusts us to listen to her. The more we build a relationship of trust, the more she's willing to show up to those parties. And the more we do sexual release and get rid of all those imprints and bring back all the full, yummy pleasure that we all deserve to enjoy. Okay, so I think that's my explanation for today. There's quite a few of you here. Does anyone have any questions while I'm here? You can always hit me up in the DMs afterwards if you want to talk privately. I will post in the comments the link to the Happy Vagina Story Mapping Workbook. It's basically a step-by-step guide to the letter writing process that I talked about and a great place to start. And if you're following me on Instagram, I have a story like highlights thingy. I'm still new to IG that walks through intentional masturbation and a little bit more of the nuance that I didn't get to today. So you can check out those two resources. And if you're keen to actually learn more about orgasmic awareness practice or yoni massage, those are the two practices that we use to actually do sexual healing practice. I would love to hear from you. We can chat a little bit more about how it all works and what it looks like. But yeah, that is my Let's Talk Sex Tuesday for today. It was so lovely to see all of you. I'll have to pop on more in the evening. It's just, there's usually toddlers and 9-year-olds running around my house. Have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.